And also is today in the page 121 in the Shantadeva, he said that, as Shantadeva says, the Buddha declined like a turtle that perchance can place its head within a yoke, adrift upon a shoreless sea. This human birth is difficult to find. This is already yesterday we studied, like the example of the ocean yoke and the blunt turtles. And it's very rare to kind of join together because it's the driven upon the shoreless seas, and they're like kind of the endless, and the sea is like not really, there's huge, there's no other shores, almost endless, therefore shoreless. And then is sometimes this yoke and turtle is possible, like here is said, perchance can is possible, perchance, or the coincidence, and sometimes is possible to gather, to coming together. And this is already we yesterday studied. And also there is another example. The difficulty of obtain human birth is also compared to that of the getting dried peas thrown at a smooth wall to stick to it. For example, if we come to say this wall, it's like already nice plastery and very much smooth, and then it's like dyed like peas, like green things. If we like throw out on the wall, almost nothing one single ones cannot stick on the wall. It is like this. It is like it's almost like impossible, like this. And like this, to obtain the human existence, like this kind of example, very difficult to obtain the human existence. All that of the balancing, peel of the pear on the tip of upright needles, which is hard enough with even one single piece. For example, if a needle is like only uprighted, and then we can put on the like this green peels, and sometimes the top of the needles to catch, maybe rarely, and like this, but it's maybe very difficult. And in like this is to obtain the human existence very difficult. When we understood that, we need to appreciate this, and we need to do something right now. And this is the important to know this, the comparisons and these examples, how it is the difficult to find up to how does the human freedoms obtain, like kind of all the freedoms and advantages. And we need to understand, realize that our precious, this human existence, which are from the Nangachun, the Nirvana Sutta, and a similar one in the other text that says like this. And also it's like this example of the ocean yoke, and the blended title is the one there, the sutta by the Buddha. He give example like this. He telling to his disciples, saying it's like, please to quickly to do something here. And because it's the human beings, to obtain the human beings, very, very difficult. They're like this. And now it's the reflect on the numerable comparisons. There is like a kind of the essence of the human natures is when we analyze, it is difficult to obtain the human existence. When we thinking about comparisons, and also it is like very difficult to obtain the human existence. Now it is like we can to say the numerous comparison. There is like a different example of the numbers here. When you are consider the relative numbers of the different kind of beings, you can appreciate that to be born and a human is hardly possible at all. And it's like a kind of hardly possible at all. It's like kind of very rare. We can to look in the relatively and how many is the number of the sentient beings. If we can to sit like this, the under the earth, maybe we can go to this, just the under the sitting ground there. So maybe it's the more than the number of the insect sentient beings living there. Compare that, our human beings almost nothing in this world, and compare the other sentient beings. By way of the illustration, it's like this, how it is the numeral numbers examples. It is said that if the inhabitants of the hells were are the numerous as the stars in the night sky, the Parita would be no more numerous than the stars visible in the daytime. And it's like, it's like in our samsaras, and in the low realms, the deepest, in the below of the worst realms is the hell realms. And there are the really extreme numbers of the sentient beings. There's like kind of too much. And because it's according to their own individual negatives. Compare the hells and even the hunger ghost realms. Hunger ghost realms is more better than the hells. And this perspective, hunger ghost realms, more like kind of the lesser than the hell realms. Like hell realms is night start, the number of, and the Parita hunger ghost, like compare that is like daytimes, and the start is like more lesser number, because it's like compare the hell and the Paritas as more have chance happiness. And that if there were as the many Paritas as the start at the night, there would only be as many animals as the start in the daytimes. Like the Paritas and animals compare, animals is more highest and more have chance the happiness. And comparison, compared to this, is like then it's like this size, the number is the Paritas more like kind of the populations, more numbers there is. Like compare the animals, the Paritas like night star, and this the animals like daytime. And of course, and if there were as the many animals as start at night, there would only be many gods and humans as start in the daytime. And we are says the superior three realms, upper three realms, human realms, God realms, demigod realms. Here is like sometimes we say it's like the five, the how do you say the how do you say it's the sentient beings, okay? The five realms, sometimes there's no six realms, sometimes demigod is the divided, half is belong the God realm, half is like more Nanga, and therefore the animal realms. We can to say is the humans, God realms are the really is compare the animal, hell, hunger, ghosts, it's very rare and just a little bit. It's like this. And it's also there is like another, like the numerals, the numbers, the comparisons. Also said there are the many beings in hell as speck of the dust in the whole world. And like then this main the Paritas as the particularly of the sand in a Gange, and compare the sand of the Gange and the whole world dust is completely different. That is different numbers. As many animals as the grain in the beer barleys, and as many suttas as snowflakes in the blizzards. And like a kind of the other animals are the like kind of the more numbers of than the God and the human realms, and compare like this. This is like the bear. Barley is like a kind of, there are numbers. But for our like humans, God realms, I think it's like a snowflake. It's like the snowstorms. And like kind of the blizzard is like, also it's the same as this true amini. In Tibet we can to say the puyu. And kawa the puyu the chongok bomanyaka monons na kawa puyu monsamangs. This is I'm analyze this the comparison of the numeral numbers. For example, the like B barley, and B barley is like compare this snowflake and the blizzards. It's blizzard and the snowflake is more number than the B barley. I think B barley, I'm not sure. Okay, that is the like looks like a snowflake, and the barley is more number than the others. Okay, it is like barley, like barley. Beer barley is, it is like when you make the beer and these green things. And okay, anyway, this is like the number of the comparison. Can you check? Maybe you can count how many snows falling, 1, 2, 3. And you go to someone's making the beer, and to take out this barley to count the comparisons. But any say like this, but it's the animals, the more population than the human beings and the God realms. But that God and the humans are as few as particularly of the dust on the fingernails. Okay, now I understand. Okay, and this one is like upstairs is we can to say is the sand of the Ganga, and the beer like the barleys, and also the snowflake and the blizzards are this number of the pretas, animals, like kind of the demigod or like this. And they compare like this, we can to say that for the human beings and the God realms are the very, very pure. It is like particles when you put on the kind of the fingernail top of like this. Then these particles, and to compare the numbers of this world is impossible. Therefore, human beings are like very, very rare in the comparison, compared with the numbers in our world. Also, to take for us many beings of the higher realms as already rare enough, but rare skill is the human life, complete with all the freedoms and the advantages. And anyway, it is like very difficult to obtain the higher like kind of the realms, like a human or God realms, demigods. And this is like really already rare enough, difficult to find, and very rare. And also like kind of rare, like still is the human life. Still, rare still is like, it's almost impossible, like kind of complete with all the freedoms and the advantages human existence, very rare. And we now is got it. We should to be happy. We need to do something quickly, urgently, some important task things for the future goals. We can see for the ourselves at any time how few human beings they are compared to the animals. And like a kind of we can to compare to look at this it's like the different animals. Think how many bugs life in a cloud of the earth is summertime, or the ant in the single anthill. There are hardly that many humans in the whole world here is like kind of these idioms. I want to say is the clod of the clod of the earth. Clod of the earth. Can you say what does it mean? Yes. Yeah, they do not understand. The translation is normally this. You should to translate the size of the apron. Apron. Can you translate the right dictionary? APRON. Okay, this in Tibet here is the Twa, and can you check? It's I don't understand this. The cloth of the earth. Okay, this size, and this is maybe English idioms, but in Tibet, is really you translate it is like the size of under the size of the apron. Like the size of the apron, earth. Apron. Did you got apron? What does it mean? That you got is absolute. This is not clothes of earth. And sometimes there's a clothes. Clothes is sometimes very much, mad person. And also it's a clothes means it's like, I don't know, it is very hard. And there is idioms, clothes of the earth, means you say this size of earth. Very hard, yes? But this is like, sometimes in Tibet there is the Twa, okay? Twa, reality is the Pongkip. I think it's literally you say Pongkip, yes? Twa says. Yo. Regu, ngerasa sinan tabajina, hunte ndareba. Re tase chanji cinzo knongat na tase jing mangle, mang tuchan top say the. It's a. I think it's a. Injing tinola and the cloud of the earth. Sun is a combo lolo de zugat kulisk tando. It doesn't matter that it's like in the woman's or we like kind of the kitchen chef and someone's to wearing, in the front to protect for the cloth. And if you put on in this like kind of the contain, and to put there is like the earth, and like this size of that, how many is like the sentient beings is a living series. If we can to dig out earth and to collect to put on this the size cloud of the earth, okay, you can to say how many sentient beings living inside almost a population of the human beings in the summer times. And like this. And also the ants are the single, the ant hill. Ant hills is like kind of the ant hill. One ant hill maybe is like a lot, how many is like living there is. And in this perspective, and it's like for obtain the human existence, really very rare, very difficult. And also but even within mankind, we can see that compared to all those people born in outlying regions where the teachings have never appeared, those born in the place where the Dharma has spread are exceedingly rare. And of course, it's like a good teaching, good like a candle. For example, we can to say, even in our West, in Europe, and before that, it's like Christianity and the Jesus Christ teachings came, quite very much barbarians. All the time is killing, like stealing and doing such bad things. But it's like Christianities and this like kind of the path and to came to over. And then it's people more, it's become the compassionate. And we would to say it's more caring, more like kind of concerning positive things. We should to appreciate very much. For example, in the Buddhist perspective, is of course it's Jesus Christ, Buddha, but it's really appreciate, and like we have such compassions, impartially, it's hold the sentient beings. I mean, it's like this. It's also it's like a same positive teaching, positive education here. And it's like compassionate guideline. That is the necessary. Of course, in the Buddhist perspective, we say the Dharma is coming to spread, then it's people more become kind, more like thinking about the positive, more thinking about like this. But if there's no any kind of good educations, some we call the barbarians areas, no believers, then we are humans a little bit wild animals. Even now science research, if we haven't got any rule, discipline, then they say that humans are like wild cats. If you just to give free, they kill each other, destroy each other, they eating each other. And like doesn't matter you have a rule or you have some, it's like the, how to say, respectful, very useful, very compassionate. Some religious teachings is thanks. We are completely changed. And then it's like Dharma perspective, we are really big kind of, if you changing, in the relatively you change your attitude, conduct, and to become more compassionate, and absolutely you change, you are become the Buddha. And in this perspective, of course, if more need to spread the Dharma, and if there's no spread areas, sometimes humans is also a little bit kind of, they don't know what is the positive, they don't know what is the negative, they do not understand each other's. They don't, for example, I don't understand your situation, you don't understand my situation, I'm very much selfish, you are very much selfish. We never agree together. We all the time argue, then there's war, fighting and killing. Like therefore is like some, even that we obtain the human existence, like kind of the lack of the teaching Dharma, there's not much spiritualities, and that is also is very rare, and to be born in the some teaching place, and like this. And even among these, there are the only a very few who have all the freedoms and advantages. Whatever we calculated, we researched the 34 human qualities. If one person has this, all these qualities, it is very rare, very important. With all this perspective in mind, this perspective to concern these things into our mind again and again and over, you should be filled with joy. We should, it's a very great advice to say, you have great opportunities, you have great, why you need to complain, why? You should to be the enjoyed. There you really have all the freedoms, advantages completed like this. Therefore we need to rejoice, and also maybe tea times.